The Explainer, the anatomy of a perfect plot twist. We're looking at a massacre at a harbor, a phantom mastermind, and a story where absolutely nothing is as it seems. It's a masterclass in deception, and we're going to follow this incredible narrative from start to finish. The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist. This single sentence right here, it isn't just some chilling quote. It is the absolute core of the entire story we are about to unravel. Keep this thought in the back of your mind. So, the crucial question is this. How do you catch a mastermind who might literally just be a ghost story? We've got this intense battle of wits. On one side, there's a really determined U.S. Customs agent named David Kujan, and on the other, a seemingly meek, physically disabled survivor telling a tale of absolute terror.
Number 1. The police lineup. To really understand this, we have to start right in the immediate aftermath of absolute carnage.
Picture this, a massacre at a San Pedro pier in California. 27 men are dead, a boat is burning, and out of this horrific scene, the police pull only 2 survivors, a severely burned Hungarian mobster and 1 talking witness. That survivor is a small-time con artist named Verbal Kint. He's sitting in a messy interrogation room across from Agent Kujan, and from here on out, everything we experience is filtered entirely through Verbal's subjective and maybe totally unreliable memories as Kujan presses him for the truth.
Verbal says the story kicks off 6 weeks earlier in New York City. The police randomly bring in 5 suspects for a lineup regarding a hijacked truck. We've got Dean Keaton, a corrupt ex-cop trying to go straight, McManus, a crazy but top-notch entryman, Fenster, his tight-lipped partner, Todd Hockney, a ruthless explosives expert, and finally, Verbal Kint himself, the quiet short con operator. Being thrown into that holding cell together sparks a really dangerous chain reaction. The guys realize the police have no real case. It's just a shakedown. So out of pure spite, they form a crew to exact revenge. They violently rob a corrupt NYPD taxi service that escorts smugglers, exposing dozens of dirty cops. Pockets full, they flee to Los Angeles. And throughout this whole spree, Verbal paints Dean Keaton as the reluctant leader, constantly being dragged back into the criminal life. Number 2. The legend of Kieser Soze. But as they try to operate out in LA, this massive shadow falls over them. They're about to realize a phantom has been quietly watching them. It turns out this group wasn't assembled by the police by accident. Years prior, Keaton hijacked steel. McManus and Fensters stole gold. Hockney took gun parts. Even Verbal scammed a courier out of 62 grand. And the shocking part? Every single one of those stolen shipments secretly belonged to the exact same mysterious employer. That employer is Kaiser Soze. Verbal tells this terrifying backstory to Agent Kujan. Soze is a mythical underworld butcher from Turkey. When a rival gang tried to intimidate him by holding his family hostage, Soze murdered his own wife and children just to prove he had the ultimate will. Then he slaughtered everyone connected to his enemies. After that, he just vanished. He became a spook story criminals tell their kids at night, using absolute ruthlessness to remain entirely anonymous. Number 3. The Kobayashi Ultimatum. This is exactly where the myth becomes a deadly reality. While they're hiding out, the 5 thieves are visited by a very sophisticated lawyer named Kobayashi. He arrives bearing a message from Soze himself. Kobayashi reveals that Soze actually manipulated the police into setting up that initial lineup. He blackmails them with their past transgressions against Soze, basically saying, "You are only alive because you didn't know who you were stealing from." Kobayashi forces them into this suicidal debt repayment job. Soze's primary business is narcotics, right? And a rival Argentinian cartel is trying to buy $91 million worth of cocaine at a boat in the San Pedro harbor. So, the impossible task, raid the heavily guarded boat, destroy the cocaine to cripple Soze's rivals, and if they somehow survive, they keep the cash. If they refuse, everyone they love will be murdered. Number 4. The harbor shootout. The tension hits its absolute peak as we finally catch up to the carnage we heard about at the very beginning. The grim reality sets in real fast. Fenster panics and tries to run. In response, Soze's men execute him and just leave him in the sand for the others to find. Realizing there is absolutely no escape, Keaton, McManus, Hockney, and Verbal have literally no choice but to assault this fortified ship in the dead of night. But look at this massive twist waiting for them. The expectation versus the reality. They expected $91 million in cocaine and a routine drug war hit. The reality? There were 0 drugs on board. The entire job was a setup for a targeted assassination. Soze didn't care about a drug deal. He wanted them to kill Arturo Marquez, a snitch hidden on the boat who was the only man alive who could positively identify Keyser Soze. According to Verbal, it was a total slaughter. The crew is systematically wiped out. Then a mysterious man in a suit boards the ship, executes the snitch Marquise, and finally shoots Dean Keaton point blank. Verbal gives this heartbreaking climax to the story, claiming he was just hiding behind some ropes, completely paralyzed by fear, while the devil himself killed his friend. Number 5. The greatest trick. With the massacre complete, we shift entirely back to the interrogation room for the final psychological showdown. Agent Kujan absolutely refuses to believe a phantom did this. Kujan has a very aggressive, confident theory. Dean Keaton, a known corrupt cop, orchestrated the whole thing, faked his own death at the boat, killed the witness to protect himself, and completely manipulated Verbal to take the fall. Verbal, though, emotionally insists Keaton was a good man who got played, and Soze is a terrifying, unstoppable phantom. Kujan just mercilessly breaks Verbal down. He leans in and says, "Because you're stupid, Verbal. Because you're a cripple. Because you're weaker than them." He forces Verbal to accept that his hero, Keaton, was actually the mastermind, Keyser Soze, all along, just using Verbal's weakness as a shield. Broken and crying, Verbal finally seems to accept this horrible truth. Having confessed his realization, Verbal's lawyer arrives. Because he was granted total immunity, Verbal can't post bail and walks right out of the police station a free man. Agent Kujan sits back, enjoying this quiet moment of victory. But then, his gaze slowly drifts to the messy, cluttered bulletin board right behind where Verbal had been sitting for the last 2 hours. His gaze locks onto a piece of paper pinned to the board. Barbershop Quartet in Skokie, Illinois. He remembers Verbal casually mentioning that exact phrase earlier, and there it is, printed right on the wall. Kujan's heart rate spikes. Picking beans in Guatemala. He spots another flyer. It's another incredibly specific detail Verbal dropped during his emotional confession. The realization escalates so rapidly. Verbal fabricated the entire dense narrative by simply reading random details off the bulletin board in the room. And then, the final, shattering blow. Kobayashi. Kujan looks down at the coffee mug he'd been drinking from all morning. The manufacturer's name printed clearly on the bottom. Kobayashi. Outside, Verbal Kint is walking down the street, and with each step, his pronounced limp completely disappears. He flexes his supposedly paralyzed hand. He wasn't weak, he wasn't stupid, he was Keyser Soze the entire time. A car pulls up, driven by the man we knew as Kobayashi. Soze gets in, and like that, he's gone, leaving Kujan and all of us completely stunned. The greatest trick isn't just about lying, it's about giving your audience exactly what they expect to see. Who is the mastermind in your life that you might be looking right past?